Coming up next on Tech News Today, GoPro's earnings are pretty bad. Also, Dell has its own Surface Studio competitor, and it's nearly as intriguing. Also, Netflix might have offline mode someday, but not soon enough. Selena Larson gives us her review of Google Home and a look inside Intel's virtual reality lab. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1634, recorded Thursday, November 3rd, 2016. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. Jira Service Desk delivers everything your IT team needs out of the box at a cost-effective price. For a free 7-day trial of Jira Service Desk, visit Atlassian.com/twit.
And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to more than 100 job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/twit.
And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage process into the 21st century with a fast, easy, and completely online process. Check out Rocket Mortgage today at QuickenLoans.com/TNT.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we tell you everything you need to know about technology today. I'm Megan Morrone, and the band is back together.
Yeah. I'm Jason Howell. How's it going?
It's going good. How was the Virtual Reality Developers Conference?
I spent a lot of time in virtual reality. I was able to check out Google's Daydream VR, the Daydream View. And as they were handing it to me, they said, I hope you don't mind, but it's wet. Because so many people had tried the thing on all day that I guess their sweaty foreheads had permeated the foamy whatever it was that kind of sets up on your face. Yeah, it was a wet VR experience, but I took it for the team because I wanted to check it out in advance. And barring that, it's a pretty cool piece of hardware.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
I saved that one for live, Megan.
Yeah,
I didn't prep you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you don't mind that it's wet. You should never accept anything when someone says that to you first.
I mean, to be fair, I was lucky, air quotes. I was lucky to even get the chance to play around with it because it was so jam-packed with people who had signed up well in advance to get the opportunity to put a wet VR head viewer on their face. So the fact they even got me in there to check it out prior to release, I felt fine about that, but it was kind of a funny discovery to make right as I'm lifting it to my face. Oh, and by the way, it's wet. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. That was a question I had. We've talked about that because usually they're rubber and you can wipe them off with a damp cloth, but that one's cloth. That
one's fabricy. Yeah, so that could be an issue. But $80, whatever. Okay, we've got other news here. GoPro is having a bad day in light of its Q3 earnings report. Expectations were already set pretty low with an expected loss of 36 cents per share, on $314.06 million in revenue. GoPro came in even below that with a loss of 60 cents per share at $240.56 million in revenue. That sent stock trading spiraling downward 22%. The market cap dropped from $1.23 billion to $972 million, a loss of around $250 million in the blink of an eye, literally, because of that in a few short hours. GoPro is looking toward the holiday season to help pull itself back out of the weeds and get it on track.
This is sad news. I like GoPro, and I'm worried, are there fewer action junkies? Is that what, VR is doing to us? There are fewer skaters and snowboarders? Or, does everyone have now at this point, 4 or 5 years of GoPro footage that they've done absolutely nothing with?
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of that. Maybe it's that, a lot of our devices, the cameras in our devices keep getting better and better. And so, if you remember the standalone, cameras that they had right about the time the smartphones were starting. I can't even remember what they were called because it was a category that was really popular, the flip cams.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a category that was really popular because it was this portable digital camera. And then turns out we all have that now. So the flip cam category completely went out. I mean, this is a little different different because it's action cameras. What GoPro is saying is that their new products, the new ones that they announced, the new Hero 5 cameras and the Karma drone, those they're expecting to do really well during the holiday season. They didn't even hit the market until October because they had all sorts of production issues. So that's contributing to the loss here. But you don't have the sales of their latest and top of the line technology factored in. So they're banking on this, fourth quarter holiday season to be amazing. They estimate $625 million in holiday sales for the quarter. Their best quarter was the fourth quarter of holiday season of 2014. So if that's going to happen, it would be the holiday season, but they've only passed the $400 million mark 4 times since they went public in 2013. So it would be, after months of doing not that great, it would be a big about face if they meet their own expectations.
Yeah, I mean, the Fitbit was also down today, and Fortune said that the Fitbit stock being down also didn't help GoPro. Like that pulled the GoPro stock down also because they have a correlation coefficient of 0.89 out of 1, which I guess is fancy economics speak by the same people, the same kinds of people who buy Fitbits are the same kinds of people who buy GoPro, or it's the same market. So if one's down, you only have so much money to spend.
Right.
And maybe it's not the same kinds of people, but you might spend it on a Fitbit, or you might spend it on a GoPro, or you might spend it on something else that you absolutely don't need, but you just want.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you like the looks of the Surface Studio that Microsoft showed off last week, you might also want to see what Dell has in store for you in the recent future. In the forthcoming future, the PC maker showed off a Surface Studio like smart desk. It's like a Surface Studio. It's with it's a Dell, and it's for artists, engineers, architects, and scientific analysts. The device is to be unveiled at CES in January. It includes a new interactive zone with an LCD touchscreen where the keyboard used to be. The smart desk is paired with a vertical display. It offers a touch-enabled on-screen keyboard when necessary, and it even utilizes a dial like the Surface Studio's Surface dial. So yeah, another Windows 10 device that's designed for artists, because everybody's got to pick up where Apple seems to be dropping the ball here. PC World says this has been in the works for 3 years, but it's being released now because the Windows 10 Creators Update is coming. I think that this will be perfect for that. It uses touch, stylus, and a new generation of totem-based tools. And multiple desktops can also be used to collaborate on one project.
Mm-hmm. Kind of cool. Well, cool. Kind of interesting that both Microsoft and Dell were on the same page when it comes to the dial, because even that was, being shown off, I guess, a couple of years ago. So it's not like this is a Me Too product. They were both working on this simultaneously. Who knows how much, if anything, they knew about each other's efforts. But I really like the kind of the innovation that's happening here. The stuff that I've seen between the Surface Studio and this, although there are parts that kind of give me a pause about this scenario, having a touch screen on the table would be really nice, but I don't know if I want touch typing to be the way that I type everything. Maybe it wouldn't be as bad, as I'm guessing, but anytime I have to type on a touch surface versus an actual hardware keyboard, it's just never as good. I don't know, maybe you get used to that. But I love the innovation, and I love the kind of the fact that and I love that, right? Like the keyboard on the bottom, and then, other audio controls up top. Just the fact that they're doing something different. We've seen the same stinking, layout of hardware in computer technology for decades now. And finally, we're kind of entering, it's like smashing the touchscreen tablet approach together with the desktop approach, and kind of a little give and take on both sides, and coming up with something entirely new. And I love that that's happening. And it's filling a void in what I want out of my future computer that Apple is not filling, which is surprising, which I feel strange saying, because I haven't thought about Windows PCs like that in a really long time.
But I think, this is not for, when it says it's for artists, it's not for you and your novel. It's for you and your symphony, Jason. Because, this is not something that people are going to type a lot on, but they can, it might be for DJs. It might be for, like they said, architects, just anyone who really doesn't spend that much time with the keyboard. The keyboard just gets in the way. It takes, if you think about how much the space the keyboard takes up right now, I mean, I think this is really like, just great for artists. I know no word on how much it'll cost or when it'll be available. I know they'll be just showing it off at CES in January.
I do wonder, based on what they showed off in the video and the clips and everything, just the way that you're sitting at a table and you've got a screen that's out here lying flat. Like, I just know from screen technology on phones and everything that there is such a thing as good viewing angle versus bad viewing angle. And if the flat surface is out like this and we are absolutely not looking at it straight down, we're looking at it sideways, I really hope they've got that tuned so that it's not, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, instead of looking like a sharp black background with, very bright, vibrant objects in the foreground, you end up seeing this like haze of the backlight or whatever the technology ends up being, or it fades out, depending on how angled your view is onto that screen. I hope they have that figured out. I imagine they would, considering it's designed to do that, but I guess you don't know until you see it. Huawei held an event in Munich to show off some new hardware. First is the Mate 9, a premium smartphone with a 5.9-inch full HD display, and Huawei's own Kirin 960 processor, which is its fastest processor to date. Huawei also showed off the luxurious variant, the Porsche design Mate 9. Do you say Porsche or Porsche?
I say Porsche.
Okay. I felt like it was more luxurious if I said Porsche. Designed Mate 9. That includes 6 gigs of RAM, up from 4, 256 gigs of internal storage, which is quite a lot, a 2K screen, and not to mention a curved screen, very much like Samsung's Galaxy Edge series of devices. Got Android 7.0 Nougat on it, like a dual lens camera on the back.
Yeah, that Porsche one's just a simple $1,500.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
Because it says Porsche on the front. It says Porsche design on front. That's why. I don't know.
Okay, so I have some questions about this Mate 9. It says that it uses an algorithm to learn how you use the phone and to make it more fit how you particularly use your phone.
Okay.
Which sounds great, because I think I use my phone in a really different way than a lot of people. And so it sounds like that would be something that I would want. But then I read on and it just sort of like opens the apps that you use a lot, which
opens them or like surfaces them for you to choose from. Because I've heard of a lot of, like, there are definitely launchers on Android that monitor the apps you use most, the time of day you're more likely to use those, or your location. Are you at work or home? If you're at work, these are the apps you're probably going to use. If you're at home, these are, and they always sound really smart and sound like that's exactly what you want. But then things are always changing. So it's like you have no firm grasp of what you're ever going to see. So in theory, it sounds like it would be really smart and would be effective at like making you more productive. But in practice, it ends up just kind of being a chore.
Yeah. Well, I would like it like, at 10:30, if I'm on Twitter, I'd like to say like, Megan, go to sleep or read a book. So
maybe
shut off
everything
Twitter.
Gets hidden by your book. And it's like, this is what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Are you going to read it here or are you going to go to bed and read it?
Right.
Because this is what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, so something like that. But, I mean, you know what else it does, which I do like? If you say cheese, it will take a selfie.
It sounds neat. So I should also say they also had another product there. Huawei also unveiled its latest wearables, the Huawei Fit. It's got a round LCD touchscreen, clean-cut design, no knobs of any sort, apparently, meaning the display is always on, so it's an actual watch all the time. Huawei claims even with the screen on at all times, the Fit should get around 6 days of battery life. The Fit can withstand up to 50 meters of water submersion, tracks all kinds of exercise activity using the heart rate monitor, accelerometer, gyroscope that's built in. Fit costs $129, which is actually $20 less than the Fitbit Charge. And some of the reviews seem to say that like it's so svelte and thin and light that it almost feels cheap as a result. Like you need a little bit of like depth and meat to it, and it doesn't have that.
It does look like a toy watch.
It kind of does look
a little
like
bit like a kid's watch or something.
Yeah.
But it has swim tracking, which is nice.
Eventually,
It automatically notes that you are walking or running, which I like that too. I don't know how well that would work, but it's kind of a pain with my Apple Watch. I have to like start a workout, tell them I'm running, and if I stop, it doesn't stop, that sort of thing. So.
All right, maybe we'll see. It looks like it has a pretty easy to remove and exchange, trade out the straps and everything to a good mechanism there. So,
well, Netflix says that you might be able to watch video in offline mode someday, somewhere. Chief Content Officer Ted Sarandos told CNBC that as the company continues to expand into developing markets, they will need to have a way to serve customers whose internet speeds don't allow for adequate streaming. And they might do that by offering the ability to download TV shows and movies. This won't come to the U.S. anytime soon. Now, Amazon Prime already does this a little bit, but I've tried to use it for road trips, and the selection wasn't that great.
I've had great success with Amazon Prime. I mean, I think that's a fault of Amazon Prime and its video selection just in general on that library is, I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's different, right? It's not all encompassing. Neither is Netflix, but Netflix has a lot of really great originals and everything. Mm-hmm. I've used the Amazon Prime Video offline, load it all up before like a long plane ride or whatever, and it's been awesome. It's been a lifesaver.
So for you or for your kids?
Well, I mean, yes, for my kids, right? Like load up the tablet and, with a bunch of options, run out of storage in the process. But still, they've got options in case there is something on the airplane and we have panic mode sets in and they need to watch something. But I don't understand why Netflix wouldn't just roll this out. Like I'm trying to figure out what the reason is that you might not want your users to have offline mode. I mean, they're already paying subscribers. They're going to watch it anyways. Like, why not? That's a really great feature. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I get maybe they think piracy, but I mean I don't know. With Amazon, it's like you download it and then it disappears after like 24 hours or something, right?
I mean, if Amazon can figure that out and isn't worried about that, then why are you, Netflix?
Yeah.
I mean, they're protecting their streams anyways. I don't know. And pirates are going to get to the content whether you fight it or not, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, and it can't be, okay, well, I'm just going to download the latest episode of, House of Cards for you on your iPad so that you can watch it, or on my iPad, and I'll lend you my iPad or something. Because they know that people steal Netflix passwords and they don't really crack down on that. So I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But they should do it. That's all we have to say about that. In the future, we'll witness full-scale car races with nothing but self-driving race cars in a championship called Roborace. To further development of the all-electric technology that's required to participate in that artificial intelligence-fueled championship, the CEO of Roborace and Charge unveiled a new truck that'll be built in 2017 that only takes a single person 4 total hours to build from scratch. Doing the math, that means that 10 men could assemble 10,000 trucks per year with only 2 shifts per day. So that's like, big infusion of electric vehicles, essentially. The electric trucks will produce 0 emissions in the first 100 miles, and they also have a dual mode, which will be used for longer distances. That would cover up to 500 miles as the battery is topped up along the way. So I don't know. Basically, the CEO, Denis Sverdlov, says we find trucks today totally unacceptable. This is essentially a way to kind of help fleets, help kind of in the industry, the truck driving industry, potentially help those fleets of trucks kind of keep pace with the advancements in electric vehicle technology. And the overarching goal is just the advancement of electric vehicles on the road in general. This is another category that could benefit from it.
So how did they put them together? Just by hand?
I think that's... I've tried to look into that. I couldn't find a whole lot of details about that, but my guess is that it's not like, here's a kit, build your truck. It's more like illustrating how little amount of effort, from a production standpoint is required to do this. And so that would scale it larger. I'm not sure exactly how that works behind the
So they fit together like Lego or something?
I don't know. I don't know. That was not detailed in the article, but pretty cool. And also just kind of the thought, going back to Roborace, that we might actually go to racetracks where totally artificially intelligent race cars are trying to best each other on a track. That's just kind of a cool idea. Mm-hmm. Love it.
It's really cute. I like it. It looks like my Cosmo robot.
Okay.
I want one, like a mini one. And, I support electric cars. So.
Yep. There you go. All right, up next, Google Home reviews are trickling in. We'll be joined by Selena Larson from CNN to discuss her time with the device. But first, let's take a minute to thank Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. They're the sponsor of this episode. If you're tired of clunky support tools that are a pain to use, well, you have an option now. You can modernize IT support with Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. Jira Service Desk is new service management software that IT teams will love to use. It's built on the Jira platform. Jira Service Desk delivers everything your IT team needs from $10 a month. Jira Service Desk lets you give customers an easy way to ask for help. You can stay on top of service level agreements with dynamic queues and mobile alerts. You can help your agents be productive, from putting out fires to helping employees get stuff done. You can automate repetitive tasks so that your agents can focus on solving the important stuff that comes along. Jira Service Desk can also help external support teams, including those who want to use customer feedback to guide product development. You can group customers so you can filter queues, customize service level agreements, pull reports by organization. Customer emails can now be branded and customized, and you can set up schedules and rules to control when and how those emails are sent. You can easily integrate Jira Service Desk with Confluence to build a support knowledge base so your team can provide quick and easy support to customer requests. Our IT department here uses Jira Service Desk, of course, do all sorts of things, tracking projects and tasks assigned to each of those projects as it moves from concept to implementation to the final product. They take advantage of Jira Service Desk's customization to track tasks and progress made by assignees, and that's by using swim lanes for the department's Kanban board. Jira Service Desk provides real-time visualizations. So once a task is completed, that ticket is moved to the completed column, and you know right away just by glancing. Jira Service Desk integrates with other Atlassian products, of course, like HipChat, so notifications from Jira Service Desk are easily sent via HipChat and vice versa. Jira Service Desk is simple to set up and so affordable, you won't even need your boss's approval. How about that? For a free trial of Jira Service Desk, visit Atlassian.com/twit. The first 100 signups will receive a free t-shirt. See why over 20,000 IT teams love Jira Service Desk by trying it with a free 7-day trial today. That's Atlassian.com/twit, and we thank them for their support.
Google Home, a digital assistant, has officially launched. A home digital assistant. Selena Larson from CNN Money has already spent some time with the device and tells us how she thinks it compares to her Amazon Echo. Welcome, Selena.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So first, tell us a little bit about what Google Home could do for you.
Yeah, so out of the box is very similar to the Amazon Echo out of the box. It can tell you the time, the weather, what's on your calendar for the day. You can do simple search queries like who's Barack Obama, what time is the final World Series game on, Wednesday? So out of the box is very standard to the Amazon Echo, which uses Alexa. But where things get a little bit different in terms of there's a hardware, of course, where, I had to often scream at the Google Home a little bit more, whereas I felt like Alexa was kind of always on, always listening, and responded to my just regular conversational voice. But also, too, there aren't as many third-party services offered immediately with Google Home. The SDK isn't yet open for third-party developers to make apps and services on there. So come December, it might open up a little bit, but out of the box, it's very limited.
So does the Google Home come built in with all the information that Google already knows about me?
Sort of. If you're already entrenched in the Google ecosystem, for instance, the calendar, if you have a Chromecast, it doesn't actually have like Google Mail. So you can't say, okay, Google, can you look up this mail that I got from, my fiance about our wedding or whatever. But it does have your Google Calendar, which Alexa on the Echo also can connect to. So it doesn't necessarily have all of the Google services built right in. So it's not truly, part of the Google ecosystem yet. I think, once people start using Google Assistant, which you'll also remember is the AI brain behind like Allo, the chat app. And they're really trying to have this more authentic conversation bot with Google Assistant as opposed to, the Siri or Alexa that are already on the market. But yeah, for now I think it's personally pretty limited. But for just like the basics of, where can I have dinner? What's a restaurant around me? What time is it? What was the score of the Rangers game? For a lot of these things, it was pretty, it was pretty basic, but helpful.
So one of the things that I was concerned about pretty much from day one when they announced this back at Google I/O was that, in their promotional video, they show this whole family like they're living vibrantly with multiple Google Homes spread throughout the house. And they're all, having a great time, answering questions, helping them cheat on their homework and all this stuff. But I mean, that would then mean that there are multiple people using it, so it would benefit from a multiple account approach. But in this case, it's only tied to one account. Did that prove to be an issue in your testing of the device?
Yes. So in my household, 2 people use our Echo, but for Google Home, it was only connected to my account, my services, so it wasn't really that helpful. It did connect to Chromecast, which I thought was pretty cool. We kind of talked about Google ecosystem and the services, so that is something that it has, a little bit of a leg up on the Echo, is that it connects, natively to the Chromecast, as opposed to having to hack the Echo and Alexa to work on your hardware. But yeah, it was the multiple accounts thing. Also, if you have people who have, for instance, the Google Pixel phone, saying, okay, Google triggers the assistant on that also. So if your phone is near your home at all, then both things pop up and it gets very confusing which one you're trying to talk to.
That's an interesting point, because Google has even said that they were working on ways to make sure that one would go off and the other would not, that they would be able to kind of like triangulate and determine which one you're actually talking to. So the fact that it's still doing both, that's a really big downside, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, actually. Just like the constant, like, oh, they both go off at the same time. Yeah. And also just saying Google so often with Alexa, I feel like it feels a little bit more natural. It's not a company brand name. Right. I mean, Alexa is obviously a brand, but you're not saying, okay, Amazon. But Alexa, it's kind of like you're more talking to an assistant, whereas saying Google so often can get kind of frustrating. Also, if you're having to scream it multiple times, like I had to in my relatively small kitchen too, I'd be like, okay, Google.
So did you use it mostly with an iPhone?
Yes. Yeah, I did. I did test it a little bit with an Android, but when I switched accounts back and forth, but it was mostly on my iPhone.
And how was the sound? How are the speakers? Like, was it nice to listen to music on that?
Yeah, so sound quality, I would say, is pretty comparable to the Echo. The Echo Dot actually has a little bit of a better speaker in terms of quality, not in terms of like how loud it can go. But if you're looking for, super high quality sound, you're better off sticking to, like a Sonos or something, which Google Home doesn't actually have Sonos integration yet. Again, very limited third-party services. It does have Spotify, Pandora, NPR, Fox News, your pretty standard news and music apps, but it doesn't connect to a lot of the smart home stuff that Alexa does, or the Echo does for now.
So how easy was it to set up?
So I don't know if I've said this on your show before when we were talking about gadgets, but I get so frustrated with smart home stuff. It takes me so long to set up anything. Mm-hmm. It was kind of easy. It took me probably about 5 minutes to set it up initially, connected to the Wi-Fi, input my Google account ID and information. It was pretty difficult to connect it to my calendar and to the Chromecast. And it was funny because a couple of times I was talking to the home and we'd be streaming something on the Chromecast and it would accidentally start playing on the Chromecast as opposed to just repeating it back to me on the home speaker. So that was a little bit of an issue that we had, was kind of connecting it to the Chromecast versus the home. But eventually, I think once we sort of got over those little hiccups and I realized, I was like, oh, well, maybe it's casting because I had just commanded it to cast this. And then it definitely had some hiccups along the way. But I feel like anytime I set up a smart home thing, for a tech reporter, I have so many technical issues. Inevitably something goes wrong.
So how much did you use the touchpad? I know that's something that the Google Home has that the Amazon Echo does not have. Did you find yourself using the touchpad very much?
No, I actually didn't use it at all, except to just test turning the mic on and off. I do have to say that the volume controls with your voice on the Echo are a lot easier. It has more significant change in volume when you say up or down, whereas if you're trying to turn the volume down on the Google Home, it goes very incrementally. So it is easier to turn the volume down on the touchpad on Google Home. However, the couple of times that I wanted to turn the volume up or down, I was doing dishes, and so my hands were wet, and I was trying to use my voice. So it took a few times saying, "Okay, Google, volume down."
So you can buy things, obviously, with the Amazon Echo with your voice. You can, add things to shopping lists, but you can also buy things that you've already bought from Amazon, and maybe now you can buy other things. Can you buy anything using the Google Home right now?
No, so that is actually, for me personally, a huge deal. We're a very Amazon-centered household, I guess. We buy tons of stuff on there. We're Prime members. So for me, it was actually really easy to just be like, oh, hey, hey, Alexa, buy now Honey Nut Cheerios or something. So if you're an avid Amazon user, I think that the Echo for now is probably the better option because it's so easy to add stuff to your shopping cart, or Alexa will ask if you want to buy it now. And that, I think, is probably the leg up for me personally. As opposed, in addition to having, all of these other third-party services.
So the Amazon Echo is the most expensive of these, but the Google Home is more expensive than the Echo Dot, which I think works just fine. I have both the Echo Dot and the Amazon Echo, and the Dot is fine and better for listening because I can just hook it up to my speakers. But so I'm not sure what Google Home has except for the future, or for someone like Jason who's completely in that ecosystem.
Yeah, I'll be curious because I have no personal experience with the Echo, so I have no baseline to compare it to, and I'm also fully into the Google ecosystem. I'll be curious to see how well it kind of holds up in our household. I should be getting it within a week. I got my shipping notice on it, so I'm looking forward to getting it. It does kind of sound, based on what you're saying, though, that right out of the box, it's definitely sounds like it's a little less feature rich than the Echo, and hopefully they build that out over time and it becomes a little bit more powerful.
And I think that's obviously something that once that happens, once you can do multiple accounts, once it supports additional third-party services, I think it'll definitely be a better option. But it's really hard to I feel like, honestly, I was almost comparing apples to oranges because Alexa has already existed for 2 years. They have something like 3,000 skills that is available on Alexa, and you already have these hacks. People are connecting their Teslas to their Amazon Echo. There's just all of these different things that you can do with it already that Google just out of the box doesn't have. But I was talking to a Googler when it first launched the Google Home, and they said that they think that the Google Assistant is going to be as bigger than Android. With the developer community, they're great at building community in the ecosystem, and so whatever skills or apps or assistant tools that eventually come to Google, I think that it'll be a very formidable force competition for the Echo.
Well, Selena, thanks so much for joining us. Selena Larson is a reporter at CNN, a writer at CNN, and is at Selena Larson on Twitter and on Medium. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. All right, Dustin Cunningham, another truck driver. We've got lots of truck driver insights writing in right now. He says, here are my thoughts when it comes to driverless trucks. A level 5 automation will never happen in a semi-truck. There are too many factors to consider when you get behind the wheel of a fully loaded 80,000-pound truck. For example, tire blows out, animal strike, and loss of payload. These things happen, and without a driver behind the wheel, it could have been a horrible outcome. I believe that the trucks will get more driver assistance features before we go driverless. Do you really think the government will be okay with an 80,000-pound truck just rolling down the highway with no one behind the wheel? We all know that every piece of technology will crash, freeze, or reboot at some time. Just imagine a truck rolling down the highway and the system gets the blue screen of death. I don't want to imagine that. That's kind of scary. Definitely something to consider. P.S. I found your show when I started driving trucks, and you definitely would have lost a fan if all the trucks were driverless. I like to think that you would have found it through other scenarios. Not that we would have lost a fan. You would have found it eventually.
No, I think what he means is he only has the time to listen because he's driving for so long.
Yeah,
but now with a self-driving truck, you can watch.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. if that's okay to do when you're in a driverless truck, I don't know.
I say it is.
Okay. All right.
After the break, we take a look at what Intel's doing in the world of virtual reality. But first, let's take a minute to thank ZipRecruiter, the sponsor of this episode. If you are hiring, you need to know where to post your job to find all of the best candidates. You want to have a big pool of candidates to choose from. Posting jobs in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. You got to post your job all over the place. Just post it everywhere in all the places. If you want to find the perfect hire, you can do that with ZipRecruiter.com. You can post to more than 100 job boards. That's including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Just post once and then watch your candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. Then you can search by skills or location or work experience or more. ZipRecruiter's advanced matching technology delivers the most relevant candidates based on your criteria. ZipRecruiter also offers optimized pages that will look great on any screen. Then add their unique mobile apply process for more visitors and more applicants. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. No more juggling emails or calls to your office. You can add multiple users to your account. So find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 1 million businesses and is trusted by hundreds of Fortune 500 companies. More than 160 million candidate applications have been delivered. So whether you're hiring right now or you plan to hire in the near future, check out their blog for recruiting tips and hiring resources. Right now, post your job on ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter is the fastest way to hire great people. So don't forget the twit at the end. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/twit. And we thank ZipRecruiter for their support of Tech News Today.
So Intel is making some significant moves in the virtual reality world lately. TechCrunch's Lucas Matney got to peek inside of Intel's virtual reality lab in the company's Santa Clara headquarters. And I don't know, it was a good read. It seems like a big reason for their push into VR is Intel's past failure of kind of moving significantly into mobile. Intel's sidestepping the traditional confines of technologies that we've already discussed, VR, AR, and mixed reality, a different MR, to introduce its own type of interaction that the company calls merged reality. So we've got another thing to deal with.
Merged reality.
Now it's 4, including 2 that are MR, if that's not confusing, which basically through the article says, kind of points out that merged reality is essentially a fusion of VR and computer vision for understanding context of the environment and the people around you. But that sounds like AR and mixed reality to me. So I don't know where the differences reside in all of this stuff.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess it's sort of like what's inside, so I think of that, Intel inside. So you can really sense what's around you, like the technology can sense what's around you.
Yeah.
But I think that HoloLens already does that. Like if there's in HoloLens a thing sitting on your couch, if you can't sit on it, you would feel it like if you were sitting on the thing.
Right.
So, but you just what you said earlier, this is one thing I really took away from this article is it's not only Intel, but a lot of the companies that are really pushing hard in the VR space are those companies that missed the boat in mobile. Like like Nokia is pushing hard because, they had that control in the mobile space. They were a big player and they lost it, and so it just seems really like they're like, okay, well, we're not going to do this again.
Right.
We're going to get in there. We're going to, make the VR device that everyone wants for the long term. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this looks like early days. Like watching his video looks like it's really early days. A lot of the stuff that he's showing doesn't seem that advanced.
Yeah, but one big thing that Intel has going for it is its RealSense cameras, and that's what's driving the recognition of objects. It's driving the positional data, allowing for the inside-out tracking, which is kind of a big deal and definitely one of the next phases of VR as we continue forward. No extra hardware needed in order to do this, so you're not tethered to something. It's all done inside the hardware. Speaking of RealSense and kind of that inside-out approach, while I was at the VRDC yesterday, I tested and interviewed the folks at Daiquiri's Smart Helmet, and that actually uses RealSense cameras inside there for its inside-out tracking. Worked incredibly well. I mean, it was really cool to kind of put the helmet on and see the regular context of the entire room in front of me, and then almost this holographic image out in front of me that was like this turbine that I could walk around there was no extra hardware. It was all being done inside the helmet. So my position, there wasn't anything like cameras set up in the corners to track my position in the room. It's just all done inside that helmet. And that, in this case, it was more intended for, things like on a work site, let's say. So you might have, different sensors that show you different readouts of this pipe you're looking at, let's say, or whatever. But it was a really good indication, really good idea. And I think it ties right back into this of the power of these RealSense cameras and really just tracking where you are, where you happen to be, and kind of the context that can be provided around that information.
Well, in the video, they show, you can see your hands, and then they show someone with a smartphone in their hand. And then I guess this is what they're talking about when it's real merged reality. So then there's a lathe that's spinning. And so you can put your finger in the lathe and it looks like your finger's being chopped up, or you can put your phone in the lathe. But so, yeah, it's, it was obviously just a demo, but you could see that in surgery or something,
sure, yeah.
and that's something you have an expert surgeon that's maybe, wanting to do surgery somewhere thousands of miles away. And so that merged reality, I have my hand, I have the tool that I would normally use. I don't know what they're sticking it into, like a dummy or something, or maybe you're doing 100 surgeries at once.
You've got 100 people all laid up with a robotic arm and you're controlling them with your one surgery.
Yes. Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong? I think hand tracking is another, when I'm thinking of kind of these phases, as I personally test more and more of these kind of VR systems and really kind of get in there and see what works and what doesn't. I feel like hand tracking is a really big part of this. So if RealSense and the system, behind the scenes on Alloy is able to detect your hands in the visible space and put that to work, and you don't have to hold a controller or whatever, you're doing what comes naturally, instinctively, and that just opens up a whole world, of control at that point.
So
Very
this
cool stuff.
Alloy headset that we were looking at, it's a reference design.
Right.
And so as is Daydream was also a reference design, right? What does that mean exactly?
I think basically what that means, at least as far as Intel is concerned, is they're building out hardware to best showcase the technology that and the work that they're doing on the technology underneath, so that other hardware makers get ideas. It's a visual, it's a real world proof of concept, essentially, to be like, oh, well, this actually works really well, and driving it is Intel's technology underneath. This is what we're going to build our hardware around, or this is the form factor that works really well for this, so we're going to design around that. Intel plans to release and open source all of this by mid-2017. Their plan is just to basically treat this kind of like the PC and how it just exploded, all of these different makers getting in on the game because it was so easily accessible to everyone. So they're doing all this research now, and what's driving it? It's their technology underneath. So if it works really well and it's open source, then that just means more development around this stuff using their products, and they're not missing the boat. There was also an announcement earlier today that Intel has acquired a company called Voke for immersive sports technology. They're actually putting it in part of a new group inside Intel called Intel Sports Group. Right now, with Voke, you can stream NBA games, so it's totally the kind of idea where you've got a camera in a few different places in the basketball court, let's say, and you can seamlessly jump between them, and everything just kind of spins, kind of in a Matrix-y sort of way, where where Keanu would jump in the air and then it slowly spins around. I think they required this ungodly amount of cameras in order to pull that off. This is a system that would allow you to change your perspectives in real time, and basically in the world of VR, sit courtside and watch these games, and hopefully other sports games, because I think that's another potentially a big driver for sports fans. That would be huge. Yeah, this is kind of an example of it.
Cool.
So very cool. So Intel's, they're really involved in this, and it's really exciting to see what they're coming up with.
Well, TNT's fan of the day is Michelle Boujardet on Twitter, who says, healthy food, healthy nourishment for the mind. Tech News Today starts me off every morning for a productive coding day.
Shrimp for breakfast?
Hey, that's awesome. I would eat shrimp for breakfast.
Really?
If I could, and an avocado.
I couldn't do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I couldn't start my day with prawns or shrimp. I could not do that. But more power to you.
That is a healthy breakfast.
That's a very healthy breakfast.
Show us what you eat for breakfast while you're eating, while you're watching. Record a video, take a picture of yourself or your setup, post it to Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT. We will find it, but we won't be able to find it unless you post it, so please post it.
Yeah, please do that. Hue hacking, as in Philips Hue, is a thing. We're going to talk all about that. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They're the sponsor of this episode. If you've ever gone through the mortgage process, you already know. You know, and those who haven't, they don't know yet, but they will if they go through the mortgage process the way you did. And this can be kind of painful. The process to get to that house, to move in, is not always lined with roses, let's say. It's a challenge to find all this information, collect it all together, and give the people that you have to pass this information on to get that mortgage, give them what they need. It's not easy. Well, Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. It's fast, powerful, and completely online. Rocket Mortgage has taken all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage out of the equation. So if you hate searching through stacks of old files, old paperwork, finding all that information and data everywhere, well, with Rocket Mortgage, you can easily share those bank statements and pay stubs at the touch of a button. That's going to help you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's been tailored to your unique financial situation. And even better, with Rocket Mortgage, you can do all this on your phone or your tablet. It's a quick online process that you can manage from the convenience of your couch. Refinance your mortgage or buy a home. Check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT. That's quickenloans.com/TNT. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support.
Thank you to viewer Dana Schwartz, who sent me an email today with the subject line, "What's up with Hue?" And he meant Hue, as in the Hue lights that were hacked and hijacked by a drone a quarter a mile away from a house for research. Researchers from Israel's Weizmann Institute of Science and Dalhousie University in Halifax, Nova Scotia, released a paper today called IoT Goes Nuclear, showing how they were able to remotely hack into a room full of smart bulbs. Hue lights have been hacked before, but previous methods required that the hackers already be inside a home network. This new method does not. The researchers were able to exploit a flaw in the lights to push a malicious firmware update that the lights accepted. The virus then jumped from one light to the next, even when the lights weren't on the same network. So
it looks to me like a planned Halloween spooky flickering light effect.
It'd be super spooky if you weren't doing it.
That's true. If you were in there and suddenly your lights started flickering,
yeah, so
that would not be very good.
No, it could cause blackouts, turn lights on and off, constant flickering, or it could force you to have a certain mood with your mood lights.
Or it could get the party started.
It could.
Just saying, if it flickered fast enough,
yes,
you might find yourself getting out of that chair and dancing. You got to get up to get down.
Right. Sometimes you have to be hacked in order to dance.
That's right.
So
that's
true.
the moral of this hacking story. Yes. I'm happy we got to the juice of it all. And that's all we got. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW. You can also find us on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV.
It is never too early to wish your friends a Merry Twitmas with our very own ugly Christmas sweater. We are offering this exclusive design for a limited time, so grab yours before November 23rd at teespring.com/Twitmas.
Do we have it? I want to see it.
teespring.com/Twitmas. You can find, there it is, teespring.com/Twitmas. Find all the ways to subscribe to our show that you can watch while wearing the ugly sweater, which is a sweatshirt.
The ugly sweater tank top. The ugly sweater tank top.
Who needs
I've never even heard
sweater?
of that before, but it's a thing and it exists. Yeah, red would be good. Oh, man.
So,
that's nice.
yeah.
Okay.
If you want to tweet at me about your Merry Twitmas, I'm at Megan Morrone.
I won't be satisfied until you tweet us how I watch TNT, whoever you are, wearing one of these things. I want to see it. I'm at Jason Howell on Twitter. Thanks to our technical director, Kara Cole. Thanks to Burke for scrolling words on the screen, always helping out. Thanks to Kevin for editing and making us look good mostly. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.